What's up, my peoples? It is me, J. William Productions again. And basically, over this weekend, I've been working on some customs for the new series I have planned. As you already know, I uploaded the 2 year. I explained it in the 2 year on YouTube special. Basically, I have made some of the engines that will join the series in like the late season one. I plan on making each season around 10 episodes, either 10 or 9. Depends. But basically, here's the whole lineup. Well, not the whole lineup, because over there are still some that have yet to be covered. But here are some of the newer ones in a specific order. So here, let's start from here. Here is the Northwestern Railway E2X pack, basically. What I mean by this is, you know how Thomas, as of recently, Thomas basically sometimes more or less is shown with a straight running board in some variants, as I've seen people model him with that. So basically, I did that. But it's basically the Northwestern Railway basically copied off of his design and made 2 new engines out of it. Or at least new in the setting of the series. That being Timothy and Salty. As for Timothy, he came just before Salty. And he basically copies all the Timothy the Ghost engine features for the most part. But he is a new build. So, ain't none of that creepypasta stuff. So, I basically entirely based him off of Thomas parts. And the same thing happened with Salty. He's just red. He's a different color. And he has different buffer beams. Beams, not breams. And his buffers are actual pieces of cardboard. Not the whole thing. Because I didn't think it would work that well. But yeah, that's the E2X trio out of the way. I'll move them over there. Next, we have Sam. Not Sam. Dang it. Not Sam. Sorry. Sam is up there. But this is actually Shane. I took several characters from the Great Race, and basically they'll be some of the new engines that'll join probably in early Series 2. But I do plan on showing some in the late Season 1. But yeah, Shane. I'm sorry if I keep messing it up. I have many names in my mind at the moment. But Shane is a 484. So basically, the closest thing to a 484 by British standards has got to be the 9Fs. Because of the 10 driving wheels. Because it's close. And the 9Fs are very strong. Much like Shane. So it made sense. And he is number 42. Oh, and Salty's number 43. Timothy obviously is number 0 because reasons. I'll move him over here. Next up, I'm just going to review all 4 of these as one. These are 4 of my big tank engines. Or mainline tank engines, technically. Here is Whiff, who I have made as an NM7 from the Southern Railway. Basically, not much different, except he doesn't have outside frames. Then we have Ryan, who basically is also an N2. Well, everyone knew that already, but then again. And also gave him a sort of smug face, but didn't quite come out looking like that too much. But yeah, I added detail to his rods. I got the correct colors. So that's basically Ryan. Then we have Belle, who at first started out as a standard 5 in my customs range. She was a standard 5. Then I basically gutted the boiler, put it on these frames, gutted the wheels, and reversed them around, as evident by this piece right here, which was the original way it was facing, as you can see, 460. And basically, this is what I got. I even made the bunker. The only real part I salvaged was the boiler and firebox. And then next we have Ashima. from the Great Railway Show as well, who I have turned into one of the variants of the 4200 class, which I believe is the 7200s, because it's a 282 tank. But yeah, I think this fit Ashima the most for wheel wise. And I think I did pretty good. Of course, she doesn't have that little lip at the back that helped the Great Western tank engines store a little bit more coal. So I'll move all 4 of these out of the way. Next we have Henry, who I have given a modified tender, so there's not too much to talk about, but I got it the correct shape, and I also modified Caitlin's tender, which, as you remember from my Railway Series Customs 2, I said I would make number 19. She is number 19, and she will be reviewed next time. But I also gave him some red stripes, because before he had purple stripes. So, yeah, that's basically what I did. Now, we take a look at the twins. More or less. This is Bash and Dash. Albeit I haven't given them names, so I can hardly remember which is which. But I basically made them at the same time. They are both 1400s because the 2 big driving wheels give a bit of resemblance to how they had an 04 wheel arrangement. But basically they have trailing wheels now. They are numbers 32, 33, and Ferdinand is number 31, who I will show next time as well. Then over here, I will basically do this one first. This is Frida. I also took her from the Great Race, and I turned her into a standard 7 because of the tender. I would have gone with an A3 because of the smoke deflectors, but then again, the smoke deflectors for Frida could easily just be changed to 7MT smoke deflectors. So yeah, she's a standard 7. And she will also be appearing late Series 1. Now we have the one that I had to put a very large amount of work into. Vinny. And as you can tell by the tender, Vinny is a streamlined coronation from the LMS. He's basically a new build as well in this series. Well, more or less a new build. So basically I based this off of the previous tender to Caitlin, because Caitlin was originally an unstreamlined coronation with just smoke deflectors that had her original tender. So while it was still in the original streamlined tender variant, I copied it and pasted it over to here. However, with different striping at a different number. But now Caitlin has a normal tender. And also, Vinny's whole boiler and smoke box was the hardest part out of this whole build. I mean, the streamlining was fine, but this up here was the hardest. Because, of course, the initial boiler was easy. But then there's the smoke box, which was the hardest. Because I had to, cut it in some way. And then basically see if it would line up properly. And I even had to make small pieces to go over it to make it look more solid. And I had to cover it up because, well, over here, because there was a gap that showed the underside of the boiler. And I wanted to make him look more like a coronation. And now, a special Duke. Now, you may be wondering, but isn't Duke a narrow gauge engine? Well, he is. But in my series, after the Local Railway gets reopened again, a bunch of the miniature gauge and narrow gauge lines will be turned into standard gauge. Basically, it would have shut down due to a storm. And reopened because the storm was gone. And the storm would have terraformed a lot of the land, which made the narrow gauge lines pretty unnecessary, because now they could run standard gauge locos up there. So basically, instead of retiring them to a museum, Sir Topham Hatt and the board of directors, which will prop up in one of the episodes, decided to start a rebuilding program. And so Duke was the first of the narrow gauge engine to be finished today. Well, yesterday actually. While the first of these was actually Mike from the miniature gauge railway, because he was the first one to be first of the miniature gauge engines. Actually, the first of the non-standard gauge engines to be built into standard gauge. And he'll be covered in RWS Customs 4. Or actually, if we have time left, we'll cover him. But I don't think that's likely. So I turned Duke into a 3700 class, better known as the City class, which is what City of Choro is. Basically, I'm doing this because I've noticed out of the whole fleet of Northwestern Railway engines that I've been making, most of them are of British Railway design, LNER design, or even London Midland Scottish Railway design. Well, Donald Douglas are Caledonian. But I decided to basically bolster the Great Western Fleet. It also gives a reason for why Ashima, Bash, and Dash are Great Western engines. But they aren't the only ones I've built as Great Western engines. But that'll come up next one. So yeah, I gave him the number S9. The S letter in front of the number 9 basically signifies that he is from the Skarloey Railway. So S stands for Skarloey, and he is the number 9. In my headcanon, I guess. And that is mostly it. And as you can see, you've also got some conflats over here that I made today and a lot of trucks. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Like and subscribe and have a good day.